foremost. They are unique in this country. This is not being replicated as it should be at the moment from coast to coast. We long for the day when every university gets people like this. It's passionate, it's best, it's brightest. That day is coming.
There's a quote that I try to follow, or two quotes that I try to look at my life by, and they're from Because My Faith Plays the Largest Part in My Human Rights Perspective, so that people are either your brothers in faith or your equals in humanity, or that those who are silent when there's oppression are just as guilty of oppression as of themselves. And so that's the way I look at human rights, and so that's what it means to me, is just being a consistent advocate and a consistent teacher and supporter of human rights.
Human rights, to me, means understanding that every person, no matter where they come from, no matter when they were born, or no matter what they look like, that they are equal and they have the same opportunities that I have. And even if they don't have the same opportunities, looking and taking myself out of the situation and seeing how I can help others.
I really think human rights touches everything, because the centrality of rights is human dignity, and that starts when you're just able to have a conversation with someone at the very least. If we are American, we're truly dedicated to that sort of ideal, that there is no such thing as a lesser person. We need to be just as dedicated to the study of that problem.
Yeah, I can't tell you how it makes me feel to know that people can't access basic health care. And what more do we have being human? I always look at human rights at looking what's essential to, your experience. It's your health. You have nothing without your health.
It's about informing people at the community level about the rights that they have and how they themselves can learn how to be better towards each other, and how to have more community-based solutions that are gonna better fit the needs of their immediate communities, and not just what's being said nationally.
I think human rights means that there's people who already have stories, who already have movements and relationships within their own communities, who are seeking to change the dynamic, who are seeking something better for themselves, whether that's an inner city community that's saying we want safety for our kids, we want safe schools, we want to change gun laws. That might be one example. I think when I came to human rights, I thought it was going to be something where I came in and uplifted, I empowered, I was the actor, I'm the author of all this. And now that I've been in this program of human rights, I know that I'm a character in this story we're writing, and I don't know the story is going to be or how it's going to play out, but I get to live in relationship, I get to live in allyship with these other characters in this bigger story.
With the human rights people, in general, I'd say they're really great. They're really nice. They're very accepting of all perspectives, or at least they try to be. And so that allows community to form and foster. And especially this most recent semester, I went on the civil rights pilgrimage. That's where I really started to cement myself and felt myself within a community at the human rights program.
I took the civil rights pilgrimage my freshman year at SMU. It was kind of on the whim. I was not expecting to go and spend my spring break in Selma, Alabama, and Mississippi, and Arkansas, but I think it was one of the most life-changing events.
You often hear people talk about how America does have a dark past, and people don't bring it up. But I think that I was truly able to understand the struggle for civil rights in this country by following in the footsteps of the people who were part of that struggle, being on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. That was something that was surreal and an experience that I can't forget, thinking about that. People were beaten here simply because they wanted basic rights that were guaranteed to the other citizens who lived in the same town as they did. And you read about it, you learn about it with Dr. Simon, but I was I can never properly understand it until I'm there.
Going there and seeing the people that had been involved, seeing the places that they worked. Like we stood upon the concrete in Selma that the marchers started on before they went over the Edmund Pettus Bridge. That was amazing. And putting yourself in history takes it out of that kind of its past space and puts it into a sort of prologue that you know you're involved in. You can't really separate yourself from.
You talk to people that experienced it, and you walk on the sites where history was made. I think to me that was obviously a life-changing experience, but it also just gave me a different perspective and a more well-rounded view of what civil rights means to this country.
The civil rights pilgrimage kind of, again, it transformed me. It made me see myself in a different way. Like when I met Miss Bland, and she was talking to me about when she was 11 years old and she was, you know, beaten on the bridge. And I was like, this is my history.
I've loved every moment of it. I mean, it's something that's really marked my SMU experience. Like, I would go on the trip again, and it's definitely something that's inspired, like, my writing. It's something that I take with me. Like, I try to think about it in all my academics and say, okay, like, what did I learn from the trip that I can apply to my political science major or my public policy minor? So
I'm a part of that march. I'm a part of that movement, and when you have the experience, it grounds you. This isn't something theoretical you learn or get a grade on a paper. Like, this is an experience. You have to physically walk across this, like, piece of metal where riot squads have attacked families, have attacked children who are protesting. And now you're a part of that story. You don't walk away from that. You're in relationship to this place, to these people, and to the friends who walk with you.
I think people, like I said, that push for positive change comes from learning about human rights, and I think the best way to proliferate human rights is to teach about it. So I definitely think it should be like some sort of human rights historical or ethical education should be like a pillar in every like general curriculum for universities.
I think every major, any degree program should have some human rights aspect into it, because I think even going with like business, SMU has a really big business school and very well-known business school, but I think having like a human rights perspective would be very interesting and very vital for, you know, those future businessmen and women.
Even if you're not studying human rights, like there should be some sort of like human rights element to education on every level. There's no reason why there shouldn't be. I think it just makes people see things on a different perspective, and it makes people better people. It makes them understand the realities of other people that are not like them. It makes them see what other people's struggles look like, and it makes them understand those struggles better.
I think human rights education can shift the way our culture is moving and go to a more empathetic and communal society.
I think it's incredibly important, especially because our nation was founded on this crazy idea called rights. That was a revolutionary idea at the time, and I feel in a lot of ways we've gotten away from that.
I'd love to open up more programs like this in southern universities. I want a student in University of Arkansas or University of Alabama or a student in the Delta or in El Paso to know that they could have access to these conversations and these mentors. I think this is where transformation happens, and I want there to be more spaces like this throughout the South, throughout our communities.
I want to go to law school, so that's something I want to couple with, you know, understanding the law, but also understanding like public policy of education and making sure that, you know, every, you know, student in the United States has, you know, that access to education, you know, no matter where they come from, you know, it's good quality education. So that's where I want to put my focus towards.
I think sometime in the future, I'm not sure what's going to happen between graduation and until I get there, but I want to go back, and I think that I can make the best impact there in terms of maybe starting my own business in Pakistan, starting a literacy initiative, building a school, doing a lot of these these basic things that we take for granted here, I really want to implement them there, and I think there's a lot of potential there. So that's where I see myself in the future in the human rights field.
For my career, I want to work in criminal justice. I want to be, I'll probably start as a prosecutor and then work my way as a defense attorney. Ideally, if I haven't, let me, I'll work for the ACLU or the SPLC or someone like that where I can really apply my skills for oral proficiency, legal argument to civil liberties and things like that.
I want to do what we're doing right here. I want to spread it. I don't want it just to stay here. I want to take it out. I would love to teach. I want to teach human rights, and I want to do it in a way that doesn't mean I'm lecturing to you about what are your rights, what does the Universal Declaration of Human Rights say. That's not my particular path. I want to create spaces where students are free to be themselves and to share that, where students are wrestling with, well, what are my privileges, what is the dignity that I'm bringing into this circle.
I went from just being an activist, somebody who just wanted to learn, who grew up in poverty, who felt like I was never going to have any opportunities, to now just having so many opportunities to do the work that I'm passionate about and getting paid for it. And so I don't know where the future is going to take me, but I do see myself continuing on this path and hopefully, encouraging other people to do the same.
I've chosen to embrace human rights as a career because health rights are not being recognized right now. And in order to promote health rights, somebody needs to do the work. And I want to start in the research and scientific community in spreading this ideology and getting scientists to become activists and really making a change.